Welcome back to DPT 100, and in this lesson we are going to create the soap dish. It's your design. The main thing is I want you all to keep the bottom side of it flat. That way it's easy to print and it will set properly wherever you put it at. First thing we're going to do is we're going to use, right up here, we're going to create a form. Okay, this is how I would start it out. Create the form, and I want to choose, you got different things that you can use here. I'm just going to use just a box, pick a plane, and then pick the center of the plane. And we got to figure out, there's different sizes to bars of soap, and it's going to be up to you, but it has to at least be around the perimeter of 100 by 75. That's kind of the standard. So just do 100 by 75. Okay. So after 75, then enter. And after you got that, it'll throw it up there for you. And you can see down here in your history, there is this form. Okay. And like we've been working on so far, it looks like a bar of soap right now, doesn't it? Again, I'm going to take and trying to figure how I'm going to do this, because I want to sink this down. And again, when you use form, it's like you're molding clay. And a lot of the new technology, a lot of the new parts are being designed in this organic look, because it saves a lot of money in materials, and it's a little bit easier to manufacture with the technology we have in 3D printing. So we can actually click on this, hold your control button down and click on these, right click, and you go to edit form. And when you get here, you can grab and pull, and you kind of see how that's kind of pulling that down just a fuzz. And that's looking pretty good. I like that. So hit OK on that. Well, we're not there yet. Okay. I want to sink this middle on down in there, and I'm not really doing a great job of it because it's not really deep enough. So what I want to do now is I want to go in here and let's catch these again, and then also let's catch these edges. And let's see if we can pull this down a little better with those edges and that middle part. Okay, right click, edit the form. Yeah, it's starting to look a little better. Alright, the dish, it's starting to dish out in there. Okay, but I want to add some flair to it. Okay, so I want to subdivide these boxes here. And to do that, just click on all of them, control click them all, come to modify, and then you go down to subdivide. And I have 4 of them selected, so I subdivided it up, and now you can see I've got extra little things in here. So I want to click on these guys here, the first 4, and edit. And again, this is your design. You do whatever you want to do with it. I want to bring that down just a fuzz. And I want to turn it on its sides just to see how much room I got before I go out the bottom. I pulled that down. Oh yeah, that's starting to look pretty cool. So I think that would keep it in place. So hit OK on that. I like that design. And you got to, again, make sure this is going to stay flat down here so when we print, it does a good job printing. I like it. And it's kind of hard for you guys and for me to see as well, is because it's kind of all blending together. But I can see a little flat in here, can't you all? And then all this is kind of, because most bars of soaps are kind of curved anyway, so that should fit right in there nicely. But we don't know until we actually make the prototype and print it out. And you guys, you're going to send me your links here in just a little bit, and we're going to print yours out. So next, I kind of got that to where I like it at. You guys can do more creative things to it. But I'm going to go ahead and put my name and the initials in the bottom of it. And to do so, just got to finish form. I like it, so I'm done. Now I want to go down here and create new sketch. I'll be on this flat plane. I catch that. I'll rotate it around, be a little easier to see. And now, while I'm in there, go to Create, slide down to Text, and I don't want it on a path or anything. I want it just regular text, and I'll just catch there into there, and of course CH, my initials, highlight it, and I want it bold, which it was already bold. I think 10 millimeters looks perfect. Centered up that way too. That looks pretty close. And okay. And if that's basically where I want it positioned, I hit Finish Sketch first, and then I can take and click on it and look. I think that looks pretty straight. If it's not, you can always go back, double click in your history file, and it lets you go back to it, and I can actually move it around. Okay. So I think that looks pretty good. Well, actually, you don't have to double click it. When it's in there, you just have to grab the green grip and you can move it around. So that's my bad. So on there, and I'm ready now to put my extrude on. So come in here and click on your letters and just pull them up. That way that you know it's coming up. And I don't want to cut, I want to join. And I'm eyeballing it all the way. I don't want them sticking up too high because that just looks silly. Zoom in there, come down to where it's raised just a little bit off the part. That's fine right there. Perfect. So now for you guys, what I want you to do is just go ahead and take you a snip shot of this, of the finished part. Use your little snipping tool or whatever tool that you're accustomed to. New, I want to take and make that. And File, Save As. And I want to put this somewhere where I can find it. I'll put here. And I replaced the one I had in there earlier. I like that. And now I want to convert this to an STL. And again, go up here to File, slide down to 3D Print. And in my 3D Print, this is exactly, I want it STL. Binary, millimeter, make sure you're on that. And I want to preview the mesh, so I got to click it, and I want it to be a high refinement, and don't turn it off to send a 3D print utility. So all my triangulations are in there. Oh my goodness, there's 65,690 triangulations, which is fine. I hit OK on that. And before I hit OK, I messed up. I want you guys to take a print of that. 3D print, all that should be there. I want you guys to do a snipping here at this point so I can see your progress. New. And come over here. And I'll do a file save on that one. So I got that one saved. Everything's good. Now I want to hit OK on that. And I'll save it somewhere. I'll actually save it right there. I had some already made from a previous class. So this looks really, really good. Okay, so I've got it in STL form. Now we need to open up our Cura, right? So open up Cura, and you guys need to make sure in Ultimaker Cura that you're using the Artillery Sidewinder X1 whenever you're doing this, okay? The nozzle is 0.4 millimeters, which is standard in everything. The standard quality on this one, 0.2. I'm going to go to 0.16 on this, okay? That's my thickness as it lays it on the build plate. Now the infill on this one, and we'll show you more about that, the infill. Of course, that's the inside whenever you're printing. Most of the time when you have your shell on the outside, you'll have inside of it, you're going to have an infill like a honeycomb look. And there's different patterns depending on what you're working on, what works the best. Let's go to 20% infill on this. Okay, and you can kind of see this. It kind of shows you, you know, if you go to 40, see how you're doing the honeycomb patch. Let's do a 50% on this infill. Okay, that way it's pretty solid. So we'll do a 50% infill because there's not a whole lot of material that's going to be in there. So we'll do 50. Support. I want your support on. I want your adhesion on too to the plate. It really makes a big difference. If you do custom, there's a few things here too. You have walls, wall line count. That's how thick you want that shell to be on the outside of it. Okay, 3 layers. It should be fine for this one. Infill, and the infill pattern we got cubic, but there's all kinds of different ones that you can choose. Okay, you can do a cross, zigzag, and we'll get into that a little bit later on down the road. But the cubic, I think that's fine for what we're doing, and the rest of it should be okay for what we're printing. And again, you always got to understand, you know, like your materials. It depends on what you're printing. If you're printing PLA, you know, if you're printing ABS, there's different temperatures that the extruder and the bed needs to be. So build plate temperature 60 and printing temperature 200 degrees. And the best way, that right there is pretty close to PLA. I mean, that is right on the money. And see, we've got generic PLA up here. But always look on your 3D printing filament, and it'll tell you exactly the temperature and for both the extruders and the build plate. So always look at the manufacturer specs because it works so much better. And also speed, you know, you can go in and you can look at all of those things on your materials specifications. Okay, so a lot of different things here that you can look at, but for us, keep all this just as the factory settings on Cura should be just fine. But it's something to think about if you print something and something doesn't work correctly. And also don't forget too that you got to understand that your build plate needs to be perfectly level. So that's a big, major importance. If you've never leveled your build plate, your bed here, if you've not done that and you're having issues about, you know, the filament wanting to come up or pull up and things like that, that could be the place to start. Okay? But anyhow, this is our settings, so all that looks good. But before we do anything, I've got to add the part into it. So I come over here, hit this, come down to, see, class material. Find my DP. And like I said, it's always so good to have all this stuff already set up and ready to go. Here's my STL file, and open. And you see it's loading it in. And there it is. And again, if you want to change anything, you got to click on it. Then you can come over here. You can move and do all those great things to it. Okay. So, looking at this, looks like it's good there. Looks like we're good there. Everything's good. So, I'm going to hit my slice and see what happens. So, it's going to take 7 hours and 27 minutes to do this. And also, I can do a preview of it. Now, let's do this. Check this out. As I go down into this and cut down into it, you're seeing that infill. Do you all see that? Okay, I'll go to the top side view. And you can start to see that infill as it goes down into that. All right. So we're back over here, and that is that, remember the pattern we did that it's already set for an infill? We're using the cubic. Well, you can change it to like triangles, and you have to reslice. See the triangles? You can use that. There's all kinds. I mean, you've got this gyroid. I'll show you that if you just slice on that. See the pattern on that? But you know, it just depends on what you're working on. Some infills work a little better than others, but also we can change the percentage if we go to 20%, which in most cases a lot of people use the 20%, because again, like I said, the outer shell is what's going to really make the difference. See how much wider it is? It's more sparse. So, and I'm going to go back to cubic. I like the cubic. But again, every one of these infill patterns have a purpose. And you all see here. Now, if you get these things too wide apart, you could have a little deformation, like a little sinkhole. You know, I mean, you could actually see, most of the time it's not too apparent, but if you get too far apart in your density, sometimes it starts to show up. But if you'll notice, we went from 7, almost 8 hours down to 6 hours just by changing it to 20%. Okay? So if I go back to 50% on cubic and hit slice, we're at 7 hours and 27 minutes. I like this pattern. I think it looks really good. And I'll go back to recommend it now. And what I want you guys to do is go ahead and I want to take a snipping shot of this and take it about, take one shot just of the whole. Actually, open it up, just go about halfway or so and add us a snipping of that. Let me do another one. I want to catch my settings up here, okay? So come up here and grab your settings, get all that in there, and save that one. Project should have been 8 instead of 6. 8B, and this is sliced. And save. Okay? So we have that one sliced. We got that picture of it and saved. So now you've got the G code already saved. So I want to save it to disk. And I'm going to put it exactly where I know where to find it in my folder. And I've got a week 11 in here. No, not a week 11, should be week 8, but anyhow, change that to week 8B and save. So it's saved in there, and if I open the folder up, right here it is. You can double click it, and if you open it up most of the time with Notepad, you can see it. And you'll see all of your G codes, the GOs, G1s. Those are all, that's just paths of your printer. Every one of those are paths and movements, okay, all the way to the bottom. So all we have to do is just take and go ahead and save that G code to your Google Drive. That's the next thing we need to do. We'll do it right now. So I want to go to Google, Right here I am. Go to my waffle, go to Google Drive, and DPT 100. This is actually week 8. I've been putting week 11 because of my other classes, but folder week 8. Week 8, create. I'll double click it, and I'm going to minimize this, and we're going to take and grab and pull that in. And when I do that, it's loading it up. We've got to get it to where we can share it, because we're going to print these out, okay? So right here it is. I right click on it. I want to do share. And when I do share, I want to change with anyone that's got the link, okay? Copy the link. I've got it. So anybody that's got this link can look at it. It's done. So now it can be shared. And in your next video, I'm going to show you how to set all this up to be able to submit it to me for a grade. So it's going to be very important you start following this submission forms, okay? If you have any questions, let me know.